Hello! Can you imagine that witches exist and live among us, hiding under the guise of nurses, teachers, or that sweet old lady you met on the bus? The protagonist of today's story could never have imagined this to be true. However, a series of mysterious events forces them into a battle with the most powerful supreme witch and her evil minions. A snowy Christmas night in Chicago turns to a tragedy for little Charlie, as his parents are killed in a car accident. The cops bring the orphan boy to the police station, where his grandmother Agatha takes him under her protection, and they move together to her cozy house in Demopolis, Alabama. Broken by grief, the boy does not respond to the care of the old woman, who does not lose heart in spite of the fact that she herself has lost her daughter, and her cheerful persistence eventually prevails over the child's sadness. However, he still spends his free time alone, and the grandmother decides to give her grandson a pet, a little Snow White mouse, which the boy gives the name Daisy and happily spends time with, teaching it circus tricks. From then on, step by step, life for the small family goes back to normal. One sunny afternoon, grandma and grandson arrive at the local store, where the woman picks out groceries and the boy looks for tools to make Daisy a house. While the grandson is busy selecting nails, the grandmother is suddenly struck by a painful cough, which she handles with the help of herbs on the counter. After all, Agatha is known in Alabama as a healer and can cure anyone with infusions and spells. In the meantime, a strange lady walks up to the boy between the racks and hands him a candy on a gloved hand with her pet snake crawling along it, the smooth swaying of which puts the boy in a trance. His grandmother's voice brings Charlie out of the daze, and the mysterious stranger immediately seems to vanish into thin air. The frightened boy rushes to his grandmother, begging her to go home, to which she hastily agrees. She has another fit of cough, after which the woman looks anxiously at her handkerchief. On a gloomy, stormy evening, the grandmother notices her grandson's pensive mood and asks him to tell her what frightened him so much in the store. And from his description of the mysterious woman, she realizes that her worst fears have come true.
What you saw was a witch.
Charlie takes this to be a joke, but the old woman's serious attitude convinces him otherwise. The woman tells a story from her childhood about her best friend, Alice Blue. The girls lived across the street and did all their chores together. Until one day, Alice broke the main taboo for all children, not to take candy from strangers. The girl ate the candy from the hands of a strange woman who smiled slyly with her toothy mouth. After leaving her friend in danger, Agatha did see her alive in the evening, and only the next morning, the irreparable happened. Alice has turned into a chicken under the effect of witchcraft. She was not able to convince the adults of what she had seen, and Agatha had no choice but to visit her friend in the henhouse after that. These memories cause the old woman to take action. She suddenly realizes that danger is imminent. After opening a secret room with tinctures and potions, the old woman performs a stone ritual and decides that she must flee Demopolis. She wants to find refuge in a hotel for wealthy guests, where her cousin Eston has been working for 30 years as a chef. The next morning, having packed their bags and taken Daisy with them, the family sets off. On the way, Grandma tells Charlie that there are witches in every town and country, and they all follow the orders of the Supreme Witch.
All powerful, pure evil, and without a stitch of mercy.
Their car pulls up in the driveway of a luxury hotel, where the porter unloads the new guests' belongings, wishing them to have a good time in the process. After checking into room 766, Grandma and her grandson go up to their room, having passed Mr. Stringer, the gracious receptionist in the lobby. And just as the elevator door closes behind them, a group of women with strange makeup on the corner of their mouths enters the hotel through the main entrance. Mr. Stringer extends his compliments to the guests, but his enthusiasm fades when a black cat appears on the procession leader's shoulder, which is strictly forbidden by hotel rules. The women then ask the receptionist to imagine that the hotel is, hypothetically, full of mice, which requires the intervention of a rat catcher. Unaware of the villain's presence, Agatha and Charlie rest in their room, talking about the signs of a witch before going to bed. The woman explains that the corners of witches' mouths are elongated to their ears. Their hands have claws instead of fingers, so witches always wear gloves. And their feet look as if their toes have been chopped off with an axe. Also, all witches are bald, so they have to wear a wig and suffer from unbearable itching. Lastly, witches' nostrils get huge when they have to smell a child, which they find disgusting. Having imagined all these terrible scenes, the grandmother and her grandson fall asleep peacefully, feeling safe. They have no idea that they are already being followed by the faithful servant of the powerful mistress, to whom he returns after a scouting trip to room 666. The next morning on the Gulf of Mexico promises a beautiful day. Waking up before his grandmother, the boy orders breakfast. However, as he prepares to eat, the old woman coughs again and, citing her well-being, stays in the room. letting the grandson have his adventures in the company of Daisy. Charlie heads out to explore the hotel to find a secluded place to train Daisy, and stumbles upon a banquet hall where members of a children's rights society are about to hold a conference. At the entrance, he is frightened away by a chubby boy named Bruno, to whom he offers to see what tricks his pet mouse can do. But the boy's angry mother immediately appears behind his new acquaintance and takes Bruno with her. After closing the heavy creaking door, Charlie settles down on the steps of the stage, constructing a rope challenge for Daisy. However, he has no time to start with the training. The lights go on, and Mr. Stringer appears at the door with a group of women who had checked in the day before. They escort the pesky receptionist out and lock themselves in from inside. After seating her entourage, the blonde heads for the stage. On the steps, she is stopped by the seeming presence of an unpleasant smell, but dismisses her suspicions. She confidently walks up to the podium to begin the meeting. And to the boy's surprise, at her command, all the women at once shed their gloves, shoes, and wigs, exposing their witch selves.
They're all witches.
The head witch issues an order to her minions to wipe every last child off the earth. Each witch must open a candy shop in her town, with the best sweets poisoned by the villain's personal invention. Formula number 86, called the Mouse Maker. Soaring above the crowd to the applause of her cheering accomplices, the Supreme Witch suddenly smells the child's presence again. After silencing her pack and sniffing the space with her huge nostrils, the villain goes to the source of the odor by the ventilation grate, when she is suddenly interrupted by a voice from behind the door. Having disguised themselves again, the women let Bruno in. An hour earlier, the chubby boy had fallen for the Supreme Witch's bait and ate the chocolate poisoned by the Mouse Maker out of her hands. Now, the little sweet-toothed boy turns into a tiny mouse in front of the audience, which the clumsy witches immediately try to step on. Charlie, who has been watching all this time from the vent, is lost and doesn't know what to do. All of a sudden, Daisy saves the day.
They turned Bruno into a mouse and now they're trying to squish him. I'll fetch him.
She rushes out into the crowd and drags out the poor guy, who still does not realize that he has turned into a rodent, by his tail, trying to explain this to Bruno. The group forgets about the danger outside, and then the Supreme Witch pulls the boy out of hiding and pours a potion into his ear. Another victim turns into a defenseless mouse, which the brave Daisy deftly saves from the mallet, and the whole group of friends manage to escape from the clutches of the head witch. In the hideout, Daisy reveals that she too used to be a child and also underwent a transformation. The trio decides to go to Grandma, who will surely figure out how to bring them back to human form. After successfully slipping into the elevator, the friends find the door to room 766 and somehow press the bell, but there's an obstacle in the way. After seeing the rodents, the chambermaid shrieks and tries to swat them with a broom. But in doing so, she drives them right into the door of the grandmother's room. After reassuring Agatha, Charlie explains that the Supreme Witch has cast a spell on him and the hotel is full of her minions, who have gathered here for their secret coven. Daisy, in turn, tells them that her real name is Mary, and that the witch turned her into a mouse months ago, after which some vagrant sold her to the pet store. The conversation is interrupted by a knock on the door. The hotel clerk shows up to announce that he has come to set rodent traps with fresh Wisconsin cheddar, which the mice are crazy about. Having sent the man away, the group thinks of ways to save themselves and other children from witchcraft. Agatha offers to steal one of the potions to create an antidote, and to her surprise, Mary reveals that the head witch's lair is on the floor below. After working out a simple plan and waiting for the Supreme Witch to go to lunch, Granny lowers her grandson in a knitted sock onto the balcony of the lower floor so that the mouse can get the right potion vial. Charlie barely manages to get it, and when the case is about to be completed, the villain suddenly returns to the room in the company of Hades the cat, whom the receptionist did not allow into the restaurant. Waiting for the witch to be distracted by her injured hands, the mouse sneaks out of the room and jumps into a sock with the vial in paws. But still, there is no time to escape. Granny looks out from the balcony, explaining that she dropped her knitting, and the witch believes her words. Yet the old woman's face seems very familiar to the villain, though she could not remember when their meeting took place. And Mr. Stringer, who has appeared just in time, switches the witch's attention to himself. He hands her a carrier for Hades, with which she can go to the restaurant, and the cat voluntarily settles down in the cage. Agatha, meanwhile, tries to concoct an antidote from her tinctures. Alas, the attempt fails, and the grandmother has to admit that she cannot compete with the Supreme Witch using just her modest home medicine cabinet. However, the group of mice are not discouraged and decide by all means to save other children from the shape-shifting potion. Charlie comes up with a plan to sneak into the kitchen and poison the pea soup for the witch's banquet with their own potion. He immediately sets out to carry it out and arrives in the kitchen just in time. The pea soup is ready, but has not yet been poured onto plates. The mouse uses a ladle so as not to miss and, waiting for the right moment, deftly sends the potion to the bottom of the pot. Meanwhile, in the hotel bar, Granny sees the Jenkins couple, Bruno's parents, and decides to tell them about their son's incident. Holding out a chubby mouse on her arm, the woman tries to say that it's their son and asks Bruno to say something to confirm it. But the chubby mouse is busy eating a cracker and does not say a word. His father has always forbidden him to talk while eating. Charlie appears to lighten her mood after the failure by announcing that the soup mission has been successfully completed. The company sits down at a table near the entrance to watch the events unfold, when suddenly the head witch notices the grandmother and, putting aside her spoon, heads towards her. The evil witch eventually remembers their meeting years ago, when she managed to turn grandmother's friend Alice Blue into a chicken. The quarrel between old enemies is ended by the commotion behind the Supreme Witch's back. One by one, her minions turn into ugly rats. In the panic that ensues, the group sneaks out of the bar, stealing the key to the head witch's room. Once in the villain's lair, Granny begins to collect vials of the potion, but one of them slips through her hands. The trio of mice rushes under the bed for the vial, so that there will be nothing left for the execution of the witch's terrible plan, when she silently appears at the door, unlocking it with a duplicate key. Sneaking up unnoticed, the villainess catches the grandmother off guard, and threatening her with retribution, stretches out her clingy, twisted hands to her. The witch is confident in her strength, for she has not eaten the soup and is in no danger of being transformed. But the mice hiding under the bed have already come up with an attack plan and move mouse traps closer to the clawed paws of the villain in order to launch a vial of potion into her toothy mouth while she's screaming in pain. And just moments before the witch's claws reach the grandmother, the mouse squad sets their plan in motion, causing the villainess to turn into an ugly, vicious rat just like her accomplices. After that, the team freely opens a huge witch's chest, in which Agatha finds a book with the addresses and names of all the witches in the world. They immediately decide to exterminate it using the witch's money and potion, and leave the head witch to her fate with Hades the cat. After some time having completed their heroic mission, the group of mice, under the supervision of their grandmother, live happily together in their unusual, friendly family. As always, you'll find the name of the movie in the description of the video. And in the comments, let us know, have you ever encountered anything mystical or supernatural in real life? And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next awesome retelling. Watch an interesting movie in a few minutes without rewind? Easy!
We got a great looking audience tonight.
The Sweet Popcorn channel has a mega convenient format waiting just for you. Short retellings of movies, from auteur films to Hollywood blockbusters. Pick up your unlimited ticket by clicking the subscribe button.